Okay, welcome everybody. This is an ordinary meeting of the Taharoa Domain Governance Committee, and to start things off, I'll call upon Sunny to karakia.
E tātou e tuwhirananga ngāka katoa ki a koe, e mohi o tiananga ia katoa. E kore hoki e ngaro e a koe te me huna. Whakahangi e iho tau eiru e whaingi whakaro o mātou ngākai. Ki tino aroha ai ki tika ai te whakanui to ingoa tapu. Kui ukurati hoki tō mātou ari. E te ato ānei o tamariki e inoi atu nei ki koe. Hei awhina, hei tuhi o mātou mahi katoa. Tēnā koe.
Amen.
Thank you for that. I'll now call for apologies. I note that we have Councillor Williams online. Rachel, good morning. And
Morning.
Councillor Paniora has indicated she'll be joining online as well, but does not seem to have appeared.
Tēnā koe.
So if you could just let us know if she does. Thank you. So there are no apologies to record, so we'll move on to the next item, which is confirmation of the agenda. We have quite a brief agenda this morning. Would somebody like to move that the agenda be confirmed? Yep. So it's moved Rick, seconded Ash. All those in favour, please say aye. Against?
Aye.
Carry. Right. Conflict of interest declaration. Now I'll read this notice out. So elected members are reminded of the need to be vigilant, to stand aside from decision making when a conflict arises between their role as councillors and committee members and any private or other external interest they might have. So consider best practice for those members of the executive team attending. We also signal any conflicts they may have with an item before council. So does anybody have a conflict of interest to declare? No. I wasn't expecting any, so that's all good. Okay, so the next item is then confirmation of the minutes of the meeting which was held on the 12th of March and 1st of April. I've had a read through of the minutes and it seemed like a long time ago now, but I'll call upon a mover and a seconder for confirming these minutes. Okay, moved Ash, seconded by Rick.
Yeah.
Discussion call for. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carry. So the Taharoa Domain Operations Report for July, or dated July 2024. So this is the main substance of our meeting today. And so to start things off, I'll just, to get it officially received, I'll call for a mover and a seconder to receive this report. We'll note the Taharoa Domain Operations Report, July 2024. Moved by Rick, seconded by Ash. Okay, so we now have the agenda item on the table for consideration. I'll ask now, the author of the report was that you, Nadine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would you like to speak to your report? You don't have to read us your report, just give us the edited highlights if you like, the things we need to be watching out for. I know I've got a couple of questions to ask, but.
Okay, cool. So, Morena, thank you. And I'll take my report as read. Just a couple of things. Firstly, I want to take the opportunity to introduce you all to Glynis McCarthy. If you haven't met her, you might have seen her in the health, safety and wellbeing space. But she's now moving to a new role, Manager Community Services, which will include the management of the Taharoa operations as well as the wider parks and open spaces for KDC. So this will be the last report that I'll be presenting to you. Going forward will be Glynis. So I've received a couple of questions from councillor Williams. Sorry, that's just shining right in my face.
Go through the chair, Nadine. Do you want to, you could move to the other side if you wanted to, it might be easier.
Oh,
Good day.
But about there.
oh, it's okay if I'm like this.
You just want to get closer to it, don't you?
So I want to start with the water take. What I didn't put in the report is, so the allowable water take under the NRC consent is 50 cubic metres per day. At the time, which allows us 45 cubic metres for Pine Beach and 5 cubic metres for Prom. Unfortunately, the reporting that we get from NRC doesn't include both campgrounds. So at the time that the report was written, this was the water take that was taken, but it only included Pine Beach, if that makes sense. But we have since received the reporting for Promenade Point water take, and so we exceeded the water take consent by 3 days as opposed to the 6 that was originally reported. Does that make sense? And so what that means, Councillor Williams, in regards to the question, so Councillor Williams had a question as to what the actual water take, or how much we went over on those particular days. So on the 10th of December, we went over by 2.9 cubic metres, 27th of December, 1.5, and 31st of January, 6.3. The other days we were actually under our allowable water take. And also had a question around the weed eradication program. So that's an ongoing program, and during the off-peak season, that's when most of that mahi is actually completed due to the reduced visitors to the domain.
Okay, thank you for that.
So that's clarified your questions, Rachel?
Yes, it has. It was really just out of interest what those water takes were. So that's answered my question. Thank you.
Are we allowed to speak to the actual thing while she's
Now's your time for asking questions of the reporter.
it would actually be based on the water take as well.
Beg your pardon?
It would actually be based on the water take as well. And it does, I know that it's saying that water take has been exceeded. That will happen. No, you know, you may get leaks sometimes, you may, all sorts of things happen, but what about the ones that are pumping from the lakes? Yeah, outside.
So through the chair, that sits with the NRC, the monitoring of water takes and consenting for water takes.
Yep.
So we can ask NRC to.
But it sits with council who can actually be in there.
Sorry?
It sits with council where water gets pumped out from. So, so what I'm saying is that those pumps in there, one's been used for farm, for irrigation, for whatever they're using it for. And are they being recorded as water take?
So NRC will be responsible for that, Sunny, so I can get them to come and talk about water takes at the next agenda.
I think it's a fair question, but that's not part of we're just one of the users, if you like, as I understand it.
It's still a water take.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Which comes under the council.
under the regional council. So, but it's good to raise it. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we have discussed that before about meters should be placed there for the outsiders. Still not happened. And that's responsibility of NRC, is it?
It is.
If it's
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah, that's very-
So actually related to that issue you've raised there, Rick, I presume that our takes are monitored. Meter. Yeah. Okay.
So through the chair, my understanding is the meters are voluntary, so the surrounding donors, any metered takes would be voluntary that they would put in those meters. And KDC has put in a meter to voluntarily record that.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a question through the chair. Thank you.
Yeah.
just curious, have we actually tried to increase, because very minimal, 50 cubic meter a day is very low volume. Have we looked at a higher figure from NRC? Extent?
Through the chair thus far, so that you'll note in the report that on these occasions, it was actually due to leaks that this happened. So certainly in the time that I've been managing the domain, this is, I may be wrong, but this is one of the few times where we have actually exceeded water take. So I don't actually see that there's a need at this point.
My question is it too hard? Because the reason I'm asking is we are also looking at expression of interest. So I think to give a picture whereby we have room to play will be probably better.
Yeah, again, I think through the chair, we don't have the data to warrant requesting an additional water take.
Yeah, and through the chair, I think that 50 cubic metres is the cap for KDC and landowners surrounding. I don't think that there's an ability to increase that take. And we would not want to do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
As our responsibilities as responsible stewards of this facility, we want to set the right example. And what you're talking about, that's 10 water tanks a day. It's quite a lot of water. And there's a problem with the lake not having enough water in it at present. So I'd want to be confident that there was not going to be other consequences if we did apply to increase the size of the water take. I have some related questions too. I just see that there's in terms of the reasons why the amount was exceeded, we have an underground leak, a faulty shower timer, a water pump not functioning correctly or there was a break in the line. Like, what's the general state of health of the water supply there? Are we like pushing to the point where we need to do some major renewals at that point?
Through the chair, if I can just ask Mary to come up, who's the team manager of the Tahoe Domain. So it's her team that are feet on the ground and she'll be able to answer those questions for you.
Thank you.
Morena. Question.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh, it's just, we seen the reasons why the volume of water take was exceeded. There was a range of faults with the water supply at some point after it left the lake. And I'm just wondering if there's a bigger problem looming here about the need for a major revamp of the water supply in terms of its reliability.
You mean the pipes and things like
Pipes and the pumps and the connections.
these, the issues that we had, especially with the underground, one we had to get a digger in. That one wasn't located, like it was basically because we were so busy. It wasn't located for, it was just that the water came up through the grass.
Yeah.
And that's when one of the team went in and had a look at it. The pipes are okay. What we're doing is we're getting a plumber in to have a look at it before peak season starts.
Yes.
Just to do a full check.
Yes.
Make sure that we're all fine for the new peak season. Because that's when the water really gets used.
That's reassuring. Thank you. And then
just to support that, shouldn't there be a whole system assessment of condition?
Yes. So that's what the plumber is for.
Oh, yeah.
They'll come in prior to peak season, because we normally from Labour weekend, that's when it starts getting really busy. You have a plumber come in, check everything and make sure we're all running okay.
well, it's in the nature of the.
We're talking reticulation, though. We're probably not talking taps and things. We're talking the actual reticulation, which is you have a contractor that can actually do that. On
Water lines and
boys that just have a plumber to check all the reticulation systems for the entire lakes or the amount that's under.
But that's under our control.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so that answers my question on that point. But in your report, you're also indicated that, as we know already, that the Pine Beach campground is currently not meeting campground regulation requirements and a new build is required to meet compliance. I know we've taken some steps there. Can you give us an update on where we're up to with that?
So it's
Sorry, I didn't ask this in advance.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So through the chair, Hayley might be able to expand on this, but there's been investigation work that was done in the previous financial year. And I believe that there is funding that is potentially going to be in, or that'll be in the upcoming LTP. But Hayley, you might be able to expand on that.
Yeah, so through the chair, the long-term plan budgets once approved, at this council meeting and at the end of July. Once that budget is confirmed, then we'll start working on our day visitors evolution numbers. There will still be exemptions in place when that finishes, but that will be part of the registration for expressions of interest, and if the council could decide or potential lessee to decide how to remediate in the next season, I would say.
So it's going a little bit off task, but you did mention the expressions of interest. What stage are we at in that process now?
Because of our internal KDC restructure, that REOI or registration for expressions of interest document is still being completed. So we're tracking probably about 6 weeks behind our targeted date for that.
Hopefully come next meeting we'll have.
Definitely by next meeting you will have
News. Okay. One thing in the report that does concern me is, and it's taken me till now to identify this, is there's a heading called financials. And I would have thought that if we were having a handle on how things were going, that we would get a quarterly financial report. So we know where we are at and how we're tracking against other years. Is that something that we can?
Yes, but so I'll put that as an action for that to be in the report going forward, that there is quarterly financials added.
Because it still remains quite murky to me. The best I can handle things, I would like to see where we're at in terms of operating income, operating expense, capital income, capital expense, and see them all together on one page, kind of thing. Just so I've got a feel for how things are and how we're running against budget as well.
Mr. Chair, can I also add, we need that about 2 or 3 weeks before the meetings,
Yes.
not, 2 days before.
Okay.
We haven't had them anyway, so.
I think that's a reasonable expectation. Well, I think under standing orders and so on, there might be, is it 5 working days or 3 working days notice required?
It's 3 working days.
3 working days.
Release.
But given that we don't meet that often, if it were possible to have that, extend that out, that would be appreciated.
So you'd like it a week, so what's the time?
If we aim for a week before.
That used to occur. Used to be a week prior to 2 weeks prior.
And because I was slow getting to this, otherwise I would have asked those questions in advance too. So, but that's down to me. So, okay, so that's all the questions I have. Does anyone else have any questions of the?
So through the chair, can I just clarify, are you wanting the agenda to be released earlier or just, that's what?
The
Okay.
The agenda, if we could. We could aim for 5 working days before.
5 working days, okay.
That's a request. Possible to arrange that, that would be appreciated. Okay, no more questions, and the staff can stand down and we'll going to discuss any further issues from it. Thank you very much for the information you've provided. So now it's for the mover, who I think was.
It was me. Just before, so this is not part of the,
Well, it's
operational report.
oh yeah, I suppose that's fair.
there were questions on these.
Oh, okay.
Yes. quite a few questions, I think, if you don't mind.
Sure, well, perhaps if we could ask the staff to, yeah,
Sorry, there is a reserve management plan and risk report as well, which is part of your report. I have some questions on that, if you don't mind. First of all, I would like it to be updated. Quite a few things you have mentioned are incorrect, especially after the cultural economic development. We are awaiting appointment of the economic development role. The person has been enrolled for not less than 6 months now, I think. And the same thing with the second one, when you say production forestry practices are discontinued after harvest and replaced. And when the last harvest has been done, the action will be complete. So I don't know when is the last harvest will be done. Is it, we're talking years or month? So I mean, some of the information I find has shown as orange, doesn't mean orange. And some of them is completed, shown in orange. So I think we need to update it in the next at least meeting. We have a fair idea. I went through in detail, but I think the color coding have to be updated as well for some of the items, if possible. You have any comments you can tell me about the harvest?
The chair, through the harvest, no, I don't have any information for you, but I will find out and then we can get back to you with that.
On the operations.
I thought it was seasonal. Harvest will be seasonal, isn't it?
I don't know, we own the forest, so I'll need to find out.
Okay, that'll be useful. Thank you.
I guess that's at the beginning of it, but we're confident that the whole of the plan had been updated.
Yeah, and through your chair, probably in the next, either the next meeting or the one after, we'll be bringing the reserve management plan. It needs to be reviewed every 10 years. We're coming up to that 10-year point, so that'll be the next big thing for this group to be really coordinated.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions?
Now I can make my statement now.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Sorry, through the chair, Rick was actually the mover of that recommendation.
Oh, okay, well,
Councillor May was the seconder.
Did I second?
you were the second, Rick was the mover, so then I'll, in terms of a proper process, I'll invite Rick, if you want to speak to the motion, which is simply to note the Taharoa Domain Operations Report.
Just something else which we haven't covered is the Lake Waikari Education Centre. What's the program for that?
Are you wanting to ask a question about that?
Yep.
Well, okay, we'll have to wheel our staff back then. Sorry.
I read the last bit of that. Educational centre update.
Yeah, is it just an update on that?
Yeah.
Then the
Update on
fair enough.
Waikari Education Centre.
As in it being, I guess, turned into, that's the wrong choice of words, but becoming a cultural.
Cultural and environmental has been on the cards for a long time.
Through the chair, I think it hasn't really been, we haven't done any mahi in the sense of, other than working, we do work closely with Te Roroa and and we did, most of our mahi was directed at, I guess, turning the centre into something that was usable. But outside of that, there hasn't been any funding for it. For us to be able to do anything more than that and really just have discussions with Te Roroa about how we can use it. But outside of that, there hasn't been anything else.
Thank you.
So before, once again, are there any more questions about the report?
Not really.
Staff orders, please. Okay, thank you. I'll say that we've come to the end of question time on the staff report. Thank you very much. So now I will call upon the mover of the motion, which was to note this report, to speak to it if he wishes.
Well, I think we've covered everything there, Mr. Chair. Well, no more comment on that.
Okay, thank you. Seconder.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to say that since this campground is seeking expressions of interest, it will be great to tidy up whatever we do. And you made a good point, the chair made a good point. Operations, we need all those information to be available to the people. Thank you.
So, you're shouting lunch this morning, Sonny?
We go.
You have to yell it out.
I'm sorry.
And going that way.
Okay, jolly good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak to the motion?
No.
I certainly have nothing to add. In which case then I'll put the motion that the Taharoa Domain Governance Committee notes the Taharoa Domain Operations Report dated July 2024. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Against? Carried. We haven't got anything else on our agenda, and I don't want to prolong it longer than necessary. So, Sonny, would you be up for a closing karakia for us, please?
It's early, but isn't anything for general discussion?
Well, we could have, if you like, close the meeting, and if you want to have a general discussion, we can have a general discussion. Okay?
Mr. Chair, I would like just to raise, we used to hold one meeting at the lakes.
Yeah.
Once a year, and I was going to suggest the next one.
I thought we were going to have it actually at some point.
No, I thought it was actually part of.
It was scheduled earlier in this, yeah, but.
I don't think we went there last.
Certainly once a year though.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Fine.
Okay.
Through the chair, I'll make a note of that.
Yep. So that'll be around about October sometime.
November, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It'll be.
Somebody jackpot.
Bam.
Okay, so, Sonny's our,
There's a bloody signal.
reciter of the karakias, otherwise, were you? Sonny?
Yep. So we're going to finish with our karakia?
Yes, please.
E tatua ko koe te take o te rangi mai. E pai mea ne e koe te atanu. Nā te mohi o kia koe, ka ora tunu ai tātou. Ka haere ki tō tātou kainga. Tēnei te mea te awaha a ta tangata tētahi. Ka whakapainga tātou katoa, e tata katoa ko tae mai ne, e noho nei, e runga i tēnei hui. O te Taharoa Domain, ka mihi atu ki ngā kai, o te kai whakapainga, e nei noho, o ngā kai, whakapainga i ngā kai mahi, ki te whakaora tonu o tēnei toa kai. O tēnei te tangata te ingoa, te taharoa. Te taharoa te wā. Nā reira e te atua. Whakapainga ki a tātou katoa. Mō tēnei wā, mō tēnei rā, mō tēnei whaere ki tō tātou kainga. Nā reira, āmene.
Thank you. So, meeting's over. Now, if you were wanting to have a bit of an informal discussion.
Sorry. We close the meeting?
So I can now officially declare the meeting closed. It's